Teja's boy, OG Anunoby, is off the market. He was traded to the New York Knicks for RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickly. And there was a recent report that the Sixers might actually wait until the offseason to make their big move. Quote, when the Sixers made the James Harden trade with the Clippers, there was a sense they may have to, at the trade deadline, find a star player to be able to keep up with Boston and Milwaukee in the East. But they are showing with this group they can do it maybe without a third star. Maybe do something around the edges.
Around the edges.
So what do you guys think about this report? And what do you think about our Teja's hope and OG and Anunoby gone off the market?
Like I said, I don't know what. I'm not saying I don't like. I do like him. I just didn't understand the
fascination.
Maybe he had a friendly contract or something that Teja has a fascination about. But he's eventually going to be free, and then that money's going to change.
Mm-hmm.
So if the money's going to change, maybe you're going to feel different about him.
Getting that Tobias money.
So, I mean, a move's going to be made. They're either going to do something at trade deadline or they're going to do something in free agency. So, I think you can make a move if it's the right move. I think if it's the right move going forward, I don't think you need to make a move for right now. I think you need to make a move for the next 2 or 3 years if you're making a move right now. So, I don't know. I will have to see the deal. I have to see who's out there, who's being offered, and offered for what. But I'm not against making the move now or this summer.
It's funny. Zach Lowe on his show recently called us the cap space boogeyman of the offseason because we might just scare every team into getting the player now so they could avoid us pulling them away with a big contract offer in the offseason. OG, I think, fits well with the Knicks. It was a good deal for them. But I think they said in the same podcast that he'll be looking at a contract starting at the $42 million mark. Yeah, I see. Yeah, your face is how I feel, Eric. It's exactly. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a big turn point.
Yeah, I'm just saying that's when the fascination would stop, I guess.
Yeah. Well, apparently, I also read a report that the one place he would go and maybe take less would be New York, which is why they did it. Like, if we get him now, maybe he'll sign for a little less in the offseason. I don't know. As far as the report that you brought up, I agree and disagree. Moves definitely have to be made. We have holes. We have things we need to improve upon. I think we need external help for that. I think we need another ball handler. I think we need to consolidate our long wings into like one starting caliber one. And then I think we need like a legit backup big. That becomes more and more apparent with every game that Embiid misses. And just because our team has played well and exceeded expectations, like we talked about, doesn't mean it's a championship level team. It just means they're better than what we thought they would be to start the season. Do we have championship elements to our team? Yeah, definitely. Maxey and Embiid have a crazy 2-man game. I just don't think we're there yet. And I hope we don't get carried away thinking that this team is good enough. And even if the vibes are good, they don't want to disrupt it by trading one of their buddies. I hope that's not the case either because, like you guys are a good example of that, Eric. You guys had a great synergy with that team. You guys got along with Theo. You didn't want to see Theo go, obviously, right? But you did that because you knew you had an opportunity that season and you didn't know how his injury was going to go rest of the year and beyond. So you're like, we need to do this deal to compete for a championship. Now, if they don't like who's available at the deadline, then I agree. Don't force a trade just to do it to get an overrated player to move your belt up a notch or two. I don't want that. That's the agree and disagree part. Because this trade's not only for the play this season, right? It's for beyond. It's mostly any trade we do is for two things, right? It's a short-term contract to help this year, or it's a guy you plan to re-sign or you like his contract for the next 4 or 5 years, for Embiid's window. So it's one or the other, or both, really. But if we don't like big names that are out there, that's the edges. That's when you get the Kelly Olynyk's a really popular name out there to be our backup big. A Caruso for another ball handler who can also play defense and hit open shots. Those, in my mind, are like around the edges type moves, not the big Levines, not the Donovan Mitchell. So, yeah, if I think we're competing for this season and trying to shore up, smaller things, yeah, Olynyk's and Caruso's, I'm fine with that because there's no one big available. But if there's a guy they like a lot and he's available, yeah, cash it in.
Yeah. I mean, I will say, as far as glaring needs over the last few games, and you, Teja, kind of mentioned this, Eric, what do you think about the backup big being an emphasis? Because I'll tell you what, Bamba and Paul Reed, I think, to me, I think he's more of a 4 than he's a 5. We've always kind of said that, and I think he's kind of showed the last few games he's definitely not a 5. And Bamba, I don't, for some reason he hasn't meshed well out there. I mean, we had to play Marcus Morris at 5 one of those games because Bamba and Paul Reed were getting their lunch taken from him. So I mean, what do you think about prioritizing a backup big, Eric?
I mean, what backup big are you gonna get?
Bring back Drummond, bring back Andre.
That's not gonna be cheap.
Not at this point. Drummond wants to start.
I understand the wish, but we gotta. What's the reality? I mean, you gotta figure out a way. I mean, you committed to Paul Reed. We didn't commit to Paul Reed for him to just be a 4.
Yeah.
So we got to find a way to make it work with him or Bamba or whoever else. But I don't think you go out and you spend a lot of money on that. You can't go out and spend a lot of money on the position behind the MVP. I mean, who's Jokic backup?
DeAndre, baby, who's actually looked pretty good in spots this year.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. DeAndre is not on no major big contract.
Mm-mm.
Yeah,
and he doesn't play a lot of minutes either. He just plays consistent minutes at his position.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what you need. Some consistency. I don't think you need to. So I don't know. I mean, is Bamba not the guy when he's playing a select amount of minutes behind Joel? Or are you saying he's not the guy when Joel isn't playing? Because the expectations for you that you have for him when Joel isn't playing are higher.
That's true.
That's true.
And it's not fair to him to do that.
And that's the only time he plays.
Yeah.
So let's see him play some backup minutes before we just say, let's go get somebody else.
So you'd agree that backup bigs between backup big, a startable long-term wing, and a ball handler, would be our third priority.
I would say I don't think that's necessary to win a championship, but I do think you need some consistency at that position when Joel takes a break, whatever that's going to be. And it needs a consistency at a level that's sustainable for us to be successful.
Yeah.
So what do you make of Paul Reed, though, in what you've seen so far? What do you make of his starting in place of Embiid?
I think he's played well. I think he's gotten better, but I think he wants to be more of a wing, more of a pick and pop 4-man than he does a 5.
Mm.
And why not? That's where the money is.
Yeah.
So I just see him wanting to be more of expanding his game more so than being stuck in a reserve 5 role. I think he in his mind he would rather start alongside Joel and spread the court and shoot corner threes than be a backup center manning the rim and setting screens. And I mean, I just think that's just the vibe that I get. I don't know him, and I've never had a conversation with him about that. That's just the vibe that I get just watching him play. That's something. You watch his offseason workouts, and that's what he's doing. And
Yep.
So you just kind of know. I kind of feel that's how he wants to play.
And I could see him become like a Bobby Portis type guy. I mean, that's what it seems like, right? I mean, could you see that kind of mold for him, Eric?
I mean, he could, but the difference is Bobby Portis came into the league as a Bobby Portis guy.
a polished offensive
You know what
player.
I'm saying? Like that's who he was. He didn't just turn into that guy.
Yeah.
That's a big jump offensively for Reed.
Yeah.
He did play well against Orlando, though. He had 15 and 10 and 3 blocks. I mean, well, much more. I can't expect much more out of him than that. And he had a 3 too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the Bulls game was where everyone was kind of panicking on the Bamba and Paul Reed.
I get that, but then again, I mean, dude, Drummond's a legit center. Forget all that, like the LA stuff and the backup years. He's right. He should be a starting center in this league. He should. It's only because, for whatever reason, that he kind of stuck being a backup. But Drummond is a former all-star center, and it's not like he's old and past his prime. I mean, how old is he? Like 29, 30?
Yeah.
I mean, so he's, Paul Reed's an undersized guy, undersized big. Drummond should go out there and dominate undersized bigs. I don't know about like 25 rebounds or whatever the hell he had against. That was like a Wilt Chamberlain game he had against. Not a little too much, but yeah, I mean, when you have Marcus Morris and Paul Reed play against you, Drummond's thinking, well, I'm going to get 20. Well, I'm going to get 20 plus rebounds tonight, and he did.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully tonight that changes a little bit. Hopefully they have a little different scheme, and so obviously if Embiid's going to play, it'll be tougher for Drummond.
Yeah.